that remains Dylan's touchstone place. That's the American landscape which has influenced him most. The Great Lakes region is where he learned the Mexican conjunto music by way of Polish polka bands. You can't find the real Dylan spirit in Greenwich Village or an LA studio, a Yazoo River juke joint, or a Laredo cafe. For underneath all of the mercurial antics and standing ovations, Dylan is so down home that he considers the boondocks of Hibbing and Duluth to be far grander than Paris. I didn't write that, but it was still good. I just included it. I chose it. So yes, as Ed said, my name is Matt Steichen. I live in the Twin Cities with my wife and kids who are here today with me. I was a newspaper reporter for 16 years, and I now work in school district communications, and I've been a Bob Dylan fan for a very long time. So it's wonderful to be here today to talk to Bob Dylan fans about Bob Dylan, which is one of my very favorite things to do. And it's one of the only topics that I know enough about to actually talk about for an hour straight. So here it goes. It's also nice to have an appropriate audience for a change after years of spending time trying to talk about Bob Dylan to people that didn't want to. And I should say at the start, nothing I say is going to be as good as Bob Dylan's music. So if I talk for an hour, do me a favor and go home and listen to Bob Dylan for an hour. And that'll balance it out a little bit. It's always exciting to be here in Duluth, not only because it's one of my family's favorite places to visit, but because it's a place that's so rich with Bob history. The hospital where he was born, his first home up on the hillside, the old Covenant Club where he performed in public for the first time at his aunt's wedding reception when he was 4 years old, the Duluth Armory where he saw Buddy Holly play one of his final concerts, of course Highway 61, and there's even a Sammy's Pizza right down the street from here, and that's the very pizza Bob ate back in Hibbing. The focus of my presentation is Bob Dylan and his fans, because not only do I thoroughly enjoy Bob's music, but I'm fascinated by the way the world reacts to Bob and his music, and what it is about him and his music that make it mean so much to some people, and that he manages to be such a polarizing figure to the point that much of the general public has no interest in him at all. He's a unique guy who occupies a unique place in our culture, and that fascinates me. Some people say he's a great singer, and some people say he's a terrible singer. He's been photographed and interviewed more than just about anyone on the planet, and he appears nightly on stages all over the world, yet people refer to him as a hermit or a recluse. He's the butt of jokes and often imitated, but he's also the most respected and revered modern creative artist. He receives an incredible amount of attention, yet he courts almost none of it. He reveals himself in his music, and he's done so for 60 plus years, but still manages to maintain this aura of mystery and intrigue. He's often named as one of the greatest artists of the last century, but he's sold fewer records than George Michael, Nicki Minaj, and Maroon 5. Go figure. So my interest in Bob's music and Bob Dylan fandom led me to start a podcast, as Ed said, called The Bobcats, where I talk to other fans about their fandom. I just love Bob Dylan stories, and in each episode, the guest shares their unique story of how they became a fan, talks about their favorite song.